spouse, it's me, Brandy, and welcome back to Astro-Tarot Research. I'm super excited for today's reading because I haven't done one of these in a while, and that is a Tell Me About Your Spouse reading. We have 5 pals to choose from, as always, but before we get into that, I want to remind you to like, comment, and subscribe, and don't forget to follow me on TikTok and Instagram if you want to get to know me just a little bit better. I'm super excited for the new decorations I got. I had some crystals and I don't know what I did with them. I must have accidentally tossed them when I was cleaning things out. It's sad, but you know what? Out with the old and with the new. Let's jump into these piles and not waste any more time. We have pile number 1, pile number 2, pile number 3, pile number 4, and pile number 5. So let's not waste any more time and just sit back, relax, and choose. Hey, pile number 1, let's get started on letting you know about your future spouse. We have the Ace of Wands, the 7 of Wands, the Death card. Let me fix this. The 4 of Wands, 8 of Swords, and Aquarius, I know. Wow. Okay, so many wands. Wow. We have somebody who we definitely see is very passionate and direct. Someone who, I guess they're more so like heart over head when it comes to wands. This is a person who is very excitable. Someone who is energetic, enthusiastic. Just a lot of high energy is what we have from this person. Confidence, charisma, and generally people may find your spouse to be a very inspiring person. There's generally just an element of like youthfulness when it comes to wands, because wands is just like this passion, fire, get up and go energy. And then it also represents creativity as well. Creativity and like general like vitality. In astrology, wands are connected to fire signs, which is like the 1st, 5th, and 9th house. And these are sort of like the houses that represent like identity in a way. Like, who are you? Okay, like how do you present yourself in the world? What are your beliefs? You know, what are your talents? What makes you an individual? And so this person has a strong sense of individuality and uniqueness about them. Always on their feet, always doing something, always generally like a very busy person. Someone who doesn't run out of ideas and is just, you know, out there in the world. It's interesting because with the 4 of Wands here, we know right away more than likely this person is very sociable. They're someone who is taking the time to celebrate all of the obstacles that they have overcome. It's generally a matter of looking for stability and harmony and wanting to ensure that their hard work is being recognized. So they may have like maybe even words of affirmation as their part of their love language. I mean, as well as acts of service with all this wand energy, but definitely words of affirmation because they want to hear that, oh, you did a great job, or you're so good at this, or da-da-da-da. Anything that's kind of like boosting confidence, or, you know, you're so smart at this, like this is amazing. You know, it'll help, it'll make them feel even better than they already do. Generally, this is a very like not happily. This is a very happy, harmonious person. I don't know why I'm stumbling over my words today. It's a struggle. But they're a happy, harmonious person. And they're willing to take on challenges. 7 of Wands has this like very like, I'm a fighter type of personality. This is not someone who lets things go And, you know, that can be good, that can be bad. For example, you know, it could be something like, okay, someone gets your order wrong at the restaurant. They may not necessarily be rude or anything, but they're going to say, hey, you know, you got this order wrong. Would you mind, like, you know, taking this back and, you know, getting, like, the right order or something. Like, phrase it in a different way than I'm saying it right now. But would you mind, like, you know, taking this back? And so instead of just, like, accepting that the order is wrong, they're willing to, you know, point things out and say, hey, like, this isn't, like, the correct thing. This isn't how things should be. Which, like I said, can be good and can be bad because, you know, maybe certain situations you don't want to draw attention to yourself. But at the same time, this person likes to assure that things are falling within the balance. Like, things aren't out of place. People aren't being taken advantage of. They're not being taken advantage of. So if you want some sort of, like, spouse who will stand up for you, who will defend you, who will have your back, this is exactly who you're going to get. Someone who is very fierce, and I'll be honest, they have some very strong beliefs, and they're very determined to take on challenges and stand by what it is that they set their mind to, which is really great, actually, because it gives you a very ambitious person who you are entering a relationship with. This is someone who, if they have a goal, they're not going to quit. Like, let's say they have an idea to create a business where they sell plants. Well, now they're going to put all their time, effort, and energy, or a good chunk of their time, effort, and energy into this business where they're selling plants. And they're going to make sure that it becomes a success. Because now they're focused, they're willing to take on the challenge, they're willing to take on all the responsibility, they're willing to make themselves stand out through the competition, through their research on the competition, and ensure that they can attract customers. So they're putting in a lot of effort and energy to things, which means they will also put a lot of effort and energy into your relationship. So if you're someone, like, let's say you meet people who, let's say you're online dating, you meet someone who's like, they live an hour away, and they're like, oh, no, I don't really want to go and meet up. We kind of live too far away, and that doesn't work out. This is the type of person who's just like, oh, you're an hour away? I don't care. Let's drive. I'll drive to you, and we can meet up. Like, they don't really care about things like distance and stuff like that, because this person will go the distance. They're like, I'm going to put in the effort. I'm going to put in the time. I'm going to do the work. I'm going to ensure that our relationship is happy and that I follow through on my promises, and I continue to, you know, ensure that we're both enjoying our relationship. When I have the Death card here, this could actually be a descriptor card, because I've gotten it to represent, like, when people come into your life, like, what kind of they look like. And it's usually, like, somebody who either wears a lot of black, they can be thin or skinny, and sometimes, like, tall. I don't know why Death card is associated with, like, tall or height, but I've definitely got it to represent, like, taller than average. So whether this is a man or a woman, this person would be taller than average. And I also get the Death card to mean that they're likely someone who has been through some very tumultuous times, especially when it comes to social interactions, where they may not have had the best social interactions, which is probably what has kind of, like, put them a little bit on the defense a little bit sometimes. So they're going to be not easy to open up to, especially with the Eight of Swords there. Like, the Eight of Swords is saying, okay, I'm worried what someone's going to say if I say this, or do if I say this. Like, I feel like I can't fully be myself. I can't fully share my opinions because they feel like they may be attacked for sharing their thoughts and their opinions and etc. Because that's more than likely that's something that's happened to them in the past. So there's an element to their personality where they're a little bit more, like, sensitive. If I'm going to say that. They're a little bit more sensitive, especially if it comes to, you know, like any sort of like criticism in that way. Or if they like perceive it to be like criticism because of those things that happened within their past. And it's not like, generally they're a very like happy, peaceful minded person. But because they've had those instances, you know, it can make them a little bit hesitant to really say what's on their mind and really say what they think. But that's just at first, because after you get past like that initial hesitation, this person is very much direct, bold, and like straight up with their communication. Once they feel like, okay, I can trust you and be honest with you, and I know that it's safe to just be honest with you, you know, they're not going to hold back. This is not a person who holds their tongue when it comes to their friends and their family. They're very blunt. They're very like, say it how it is. And they, like I said, they speak from the heart. Like, this is a person who's going to speak from their heart. Always willing to explore new experiences. And this is a person who's going to initiate new experiences. In fact, more than likely, they're going to be the one to initiate a romantic relationship with you. Whether that's a man or a woman, this person is going to be the initiator in that situation. It's just highly likely given their personality. Like I said, they're a little bit hesitant at first. So they may, you know, I don't know, they may come across, it's so strange because unless they got some liquid courage, which, you know, that could happen, they may come across like bold at first, and then you on a date with them and they are really shy. And then once you get to know them, they're back to like being that bold self that you met them as, and very like out there and flirtatious, very flirtatious. I mean, throw that in there. very flirtatious energy. And then I think when it comes to relationship dynamics, there's this element of you guys having to overcome challenges together and having to deal with upheavals within your relationship. That could be dealing with moving. I'm only saying that because the Four of Wands and the Death are together. You know, it could be dealing with, like, let's say you have a hobby, they have a hobby, and you guys are trying to find time for each other. And then sometimes with the Seven of Wands, we can get that other people are like in your business. That's something that happens when we have the Seven of Wands. It's sometimes it represents other people in your business, and you're like, hey, like, this is my relationship, you know, please mind your business. You know, like, this has nothing to do with you. And it could possibly be mainly like family, maybe, I don't know, for some of you it may be friends, but maybe even your in-laws, because Death is connected to Scorpio, and Scorpio is connected to in-laws. So it's like your spouse's family. They may be heavily involved within your relationship. That's just something to look out for. I don't know if that's necessarily good or bad. I really don't know. But I would say for some of you, it may be a challenge. For others, it could be a blessing. Maybe sometimes both, because life is long, right? What I love about this relationship is that you are both very supportive and encouraging to one another. That you motivate each other and push each other to go after the things that you want to go after. And it just feels like you guys get each other out of your comfort zone. That is what I'm getting from them. And then with the Aquarius, I know when it comes to their personality, first of all, you have somebody who's a huge risk taker. Very much so bold with the initiatives and the decisions that they make. This might be the type of person who would skydive The type of person who might make like large investments, because Aquarius can rule like stocks and things like that. It's likely to be the person who has a large network circle, or they at least know how to mingle and network. Someone who has like great ambitions, wanting to take on something major. Like, this isn't a person with smaller goals. This is someone who wants to do big things and has major plans for their life. And they have a lot of ideas. A lot of ideas. There's a little bit of doubt when it comes to their own ideas. And you may have to, like, you know, encourage them to, like, go for it sometimes. Because most of the time they're going to do it. But they have this little voice of doubt in the back of their head. And it's not fully preventing them, but it's slowing them down in terms of what they can be achieving. You are both going to be in this like adventurous, spontaneous relationship where you're taking a lot of risks together. They're a risk taker. I don't know if you're a risk taker or not, because this is all about your spouse, not all about you. But when you're in this relationship, you're going to be taking more risks. You're going to be more open to adventure. You're going to feel like you're thriving through all these new experiences that you're having. And a lot of these new experiences are just like fun. It kind of reminds me, like, if you've ever had like a fifth house transit, and fifth house is like what you do for fun. And remember, wands are connected to the fifth house as well. So it just lets me know that you're going to have a lot of fun together. So whatever you find fun, whether that's scuba diving, whether that's toughing, whether that's, you know, getting coffee readings, whether that's you tree climbing, it doesn't matter. Whatever you do for fun, your relationship is going to increase that. Like, you guys are going to have that fun together. I feel like you're going to be able to do some of your hobbies together. It's likely that you're going to have some hobbies in common, and you're both going to enjoy doing that together. Like, you both have this spontaneous nature where you may be like, okay, you know, let's book a flight to Spain or something. And you're like, yeah, let's do that. I'm down. Like, just suddenly out of nowhere. Especially with the Death card here, because this Death card rules like sudden changes, sudden things happening. And the Four of Wands can represent like vacation, celebration, having fun. So it's like, okay, well, suddenly, you know, we're roller skating. Or, you know, suddenly I was invited on a trip to Miami. And now me and my spouse are going to Miami together. Like, it just feels like you're having a lot of these random moments of fun when you're with your future spouse in this relationship. I'll say when it comes to their daily routines and habits, it's very changeable. Like, this is not someone where you're going to know what they're doing day to day. It's very much so like their schedule changes frequently. And I think it's because they may have a lot of different projects and things that they're working on. It could even be that their work is causing them to do different things each day. Like, let's say they work in marketing. If you work in marketing, you might, you know, need to travel somewhere. You might be working on one article one day. You might be going into the office one day. You might be at home the next day. So their schedule is very like a changeable dynamic going on within the relationship. It is even possible, like, if this is a person who's entrepreneurial and they work for themselves, that's probably the reason that they may have a very flexible, changeable schedule, because they may have their hat in different, you know, rings and different areas. You know, all their eggs aren't in one basket, so they have to, like, go and check on this thing, you know, go and check on that thing. Let's see how this thing is running. Like, you know, it depends. Like, depends on their level of success. And like I said, this person has a lot of ideas going on. And so that's the reason why they have to pour their energy out in different directions. And it's going to feel like I never know what this person is doing next. the great thing about this relationship is that you're both very active together. You're both always busy. You're both always doing something. There's no like lethargic energy going on here. And you can both celebrate each other's successes. There isn't that, you know, weird jealousy or competing with each other. This is about uplifting each other, you know, and assuring that both of you are being heard and that you both feel a strong sense of, hey, I can do this. And with you, it feels like I can, you know, climb mountains. Trying to think if I missed anything. I think when it comes to their family, though, their family can be like, sometimes they're like in a good place with their family, and then other times it's like they may get into like some sort of spiff or argument, and they may not talk to their family for a bit. The relationship with the family is very much in and out, if that makes sense. Like, I don't... they have these moments where it's like, I love them, but like, I can't stand them. So it's just very much that type of energy. I think with this Four of Wands and this Eight of Swords energy, it can feel like they feel like they can't always be themselves around their family. Like, their family isn't always going to accept them for who they are. And especially since we have Aquarius, and Aquarius is known for like their uniqueness and non-conformity, they may be a little bit like more of the black sheep of the family. And so they don't always feel like at home when it comes to, you know, like I just said, their family. This person is 100% innovative. They're always trying to move on to the next thing, seek new opportunities. You know, like this is the type of person who would be like first in line to like invest in like AI and new technologies. They're always envisioning the future and looking ahead. And it is important for them to have freedom and independence, especially within their relationship. But I think I said that when it came to the Wands, like I think you both will appreciate that sense of independence that you give each other. And definitely they're going to be like the most open to like, you know, astrology and metaphysics and anything having to do with the like occult and that alike. And, you know, if they're doing some sort of exercise, it's more likely to be cardio. And since Aquarius is connected to the ankles and calves, this person might be a runner or they may bike. So I want to throw that out there for some of you. Very open-minded person, very eccentric. We already knew that by the all the wands going on here, and very idealistic. Always thinking of different ways in which you can improve and grow. I think I've covered everything that may be going on within this person's personality and who they are and how they communicate, how you guys strengthen each other and how you guys connect. I mean, this is just a wonderful relationship. I love that there's so much passion here, so much playfulness. I don't think I mentioned the playfulness, of course. How could I not? So much playful energy where you both make each other laugh and keep a very like light atmosphere for the most part. This doesn't mean that you won't have deep conversations. Obviously you will with the Eight of Swords and Scorpio and Death, and you're gonna have those deep conversations, but you're really gonna bond like over your shared sense of humor and having these very like upbeat, positive moments. All right, so that is what I have for you, pal. Number one. I'm trying to think if there was something else I wanted to say. Oh yeah, I was going to say that they probably have like a lot of different hobbies. If they don't have a lot of different businesses, this is a person who have a lot of different hobbies with that's like, oh, I do claymation, or, you know, I read a lot of books, or, you know, something along the lines of, you know, I cook. So this person will have a lot of different hobbies. I'm just throwing examples of hobbies out there, obviously. But that is what I know. And I will see you next time. Au revoir. Hey, pal. Number 2, let's get started on saying, what is it about your spouse? What am I saying? All about your spouse. The Fool, the Moon, the Knight of Pentacles, the Nine of Swords, the Eight of Wands, and Leo, I will... Okay. So, right off the bat, we know that you have an adventurous spouse in the future, or even now. I guess I know sometimes people watch this to affirm. But, yeah, you're more than likely you're going to have someone who's adventurous, explorative, keeps an open mind, loves trying new things, likes to travel, has a strong sense of faith, and that could be in terms of spirituality, or just generally they believe things will like work out for them in the best way possible. Very spontaneous person, optimistic, carefree. It's actually great that they have this personality. When we have the Nine of Swords reversed, because when I first saw it, I was like, the Fool and Nine of Swords. But then I realized next to the Pentacles is reversed. So with the Nine of Swords reversed, it's like they used to be someone who more than likely used to worry a lot, who used to have a lot of anxiety, who used to care too much about the small things. But now they're more hopeful, and they have this, like I said, this carefree type of energy. They are actively working to overcome negative thoughts if they do still have them. And it's like they've changed their way of thinking so that they can focus on having a more positive mindset. This person is actively choosing to seek peace and to ensure that they are addressing any cognitive issues that can cause them to, you know, increase anxiety, depression, negative thoughts in that way. So overall, that's the sort of mentality of your spouse. They're like, okay, I think things can work out, or something along the lines of like, well, we don't know how the situation will end. You know, let's just go for it. Let's try it. Let's not, you know, assume the worst. That's what this person is like, generally. It's likely that, you know, in the past, they may have had some issues sleeping. And even so, when you meet them, they still may have a little bit of inconsistency with their sleeping habits. Because like I said, this person is actively trying to combat thoughts that they feel aren't beneficial or can be, you know, too detrimental. And so they may still get a little bit of anxiety, and because of that, it may cause them to be a little restless at night, or maybe even have, sometimes it could be nightmares or just bad dreams or just disruptive sleeping habits. But for the most part, it's, like I said, they're working to address that. But keep in mind, like, you know, for that in the future, that their sleeping habits can sometimes be a little bit unpredictable. Definitely we have someone who is highly intuitive. And this is interesting because it's kind of like Uranus and the moon coming together, which can create quite an eccentric person. Someone who has a lot of brilliant ideas. We just got another pile for like Aquarius. So this is like having like almost like an Aquarius like flavor seasoning to your mind and your way of thinking. So being quite unusual, being different, thinking outside the box, being someone who's innovative, someone who is, you know, they're probably going to share the interest of like being into tarot, astrology, etc., or at least being open-minded to it. I think another pal has something similar. Being free-spirited, like being someone who's very non-traditional is what we have here. This person is going to love to want to tackle new experiences. And whenever I get the moon and the fool together, there's definitely an element, as I said, with the fool alone it rules travel, but with the moon and the fool, that's definitely someone who likes to travel and explore different cultures. And also the Eight of Wands also relates to travel. So we have 3 cards related to travel here. So more than likely this person is either well-traveled, or while you guys are in a relationship or married, you're going to be traveling quite a bit, going on lots of different trips. The moon here also represents a little bit of masking. If you saw my video about like moon ruled men, that is a common trait that they'll do. So it's likely that this person, they will present themselves very positive because they're trying to mask all of those negative thoughts. Like I said before, this person has a tendency, or at least they did in the past, to think in a manner that wasn't beneficial to them and could increase their anxiety. And they don't like to show that side of themselves. They don't like to show that vulnerable part of themselves that feels like insecure, that worries, that, you know, feels scared in that way. And so there's going to be a part of your their personality where you may not see this at first. It may take up some time to really, really see, especially near the Knight of Pentacles. I'm going to get into the length of that time period in a second. But ultimately what I'm saying is they are not going to show you maybe that dark side, that dark emotions anytime soon when you meet them. Like, you may think this is the most like, what do they call it? Golden retriever energy person ever, where they're just so happy, go lucky, whatever. But there's definitely a side of them that's pretty dark in terms of their mentality. Just want to keep that in mind. It's not necessarily like, oh, they're evil or whatever. It's just like they have a lot of worries. And as I was saying before with the Knight of Pentacles, in terms of like length it will take to sort of see that, it's probably going to take some time. I remember when I had like injured like my arm, and I'd asked my cards like how long it would take for the injury to sort of like heal and go away. And it took about like over a year with the Knight of Pentacles. That was the card I drew for it. I got the Knight of Pentacles as my answer, and it took me like over a year for that to heal. So like I said, this is going to be a slow period where you can start to see their vulnerabilities and insecurities. They're very like guarded about that side of them, but they are generally going to be like an open, honest person. It's just that side of them is going to be a little bit harder to know because they don't want to dive into, you know, all of the past things that led them to that way of thinking, right? Very sensitive person, has a lot of emotional depth, and highly intuitive and very detailed and observant. So this is the type of person who will know what your favorite food is, how you like to eat something, how you do your hair, what kind of cologne, perfume you like to wear, what kind of brands you typically put on. Like this is a very observant person, your future spouse or your current spouse, I don't know. And not only that, but it's possible that this person is just like maybe a little bit psychic. It depends. Either they're highly observant or just a little bit psychic, or both in that way. But either way, it shows a certain side to this person which is very analytical and likes to pay attention and analyze the behavior of the people around them. For some people, and this is not for everyone, so let me reiterate, this is for a smaller group of people, this can indicate mood swings, which could be related to if they had like some sort of like, you know, mental illness or something like mental ailment. Anxiety could be seen that way. You know, it could be anything, but that's just for some people. I mean, everyone has anxieties, but to be diagnosed with anxiety is like a different thing, right? So that's what I'm trying to say. You definitely have someone who's very flexible in terms of what they're willing to try. Like, let's say you're someone who wants to, I don't know, go, what's an unusual activity? I really can't think of anything off the top of my head. Let's say you're a person who wants to go snorkeling. This person will keep an open mind and say, okay, you know, maybe that's not my thing, but let me just jump in and try it. You know what I mean? I think also this person has a tendency to very much think deeply about matters and be overly analytical. And I think that goes into their observant and detailed-oriented personality. This person likes to analyze situations, in a lot of situations. Like, there's so much going on in this person's head. They could be outright a genius, to be honest. Or just have a genius level way of thinking. But whatever it is, they are very socially conscious, and they love observing and analyzing social behaviors and patterns. And 100% this person's a night owl. This is not a morning person. I know we have, you know, Leo, I will, or whatever, but this is not a morning person you're dealing with. This is 100% a night owl, okay? And, you know, there's an element of mystery to their character. And also, if they say they're going to do something, they're going to do it. And they're going to complete it. It may take a little bit longer than you may have thought it should, but it will get done. This is not a person who breaks their promises in any way. A very unique sense of style. I'm just going to leave it at that. Very unique sense of style. Okay? I think this person is going to be, one of their good qualities is that they're going to be very good at providing emotional support. And they're going to be somebody who is going to be very understanding and forgiving of any sort of like mistakes or, you know, miscommunications, things along the lines of that. Because they're going to understand, like, okay, you know, we all make mishaps. We all do things that are a little bit, you know, foolish, like the Fool card over here sometimes. And so that makes them very, like, lovable and, like I said, very adaptable and very flexible. This is not an extremely, like, judgmental person in that way. We already know that they're creative when it comes to the Eight of Wands and this Leo energy here. It's also maybe somebody who likes, you know, likes to be sometimes a little bit of the center of attention. Sometimes when I get like this Leo energy and the Moon card here, it can represent somebody who's like a performer. Because a lot of performances, like if you're like an actor or like in a play or something like that, or a comedian, a lot of performances kind of happen at night, concerts and stuff. So it's like the moon and almost the sun, which would be like the fifth house coming together. So it's almost like somebody's performing at night or performing on a stage, something along the lines of that. So it is possible that this person is into the arts, or, you know, if it's not that, then they could be like a regular, like, I do social media, I'm into podcasting. I'm trying to think of like things people do. I'm a writer. But something about them is like, I want to express myself in a creative manner. And that's something to think about. when it comes to their communication style, I'll be honest, their communication style can be very changeable with the Moon card here and the Fool, which is like unpredictable. So some days they can be very, very expressive. Other days they're a little bit more thoughtful and reflective when it comes to their communication. And then some days they're just like very direct and upfront with what it is that they have to say and, you know, get it out there. It's very much depending on their mood. Like I said, this person's a more so sensitive person, which can be good because you can have those deep conversations with them, especially with the Eight of Wands here. This might be the type of person who will like to call a lot or text a lot or FaceTime. Very highly communicative person. And they love having open communication. Okay? And I don't think they're impatient. I mean, no, there's an element to show that you know, they're more balanced. Like sometimes you have people who are like very impatient. Sometimes you have people who are very patient. They're more so like, you know, sometimes I wish things would go faster. Sometimes I'm like, all right, I can wait a little bit. So they're a little bit more like on the fence or balance when it comes to like their levels of patience. I can't emphasize this enough, but there's a very, very strong like creative element to them. I don't know why that's coming out so much, but for sure, something they do is very creative. I don't know if it's whether they paint, whether they draw, whether they do some sort of like graphic design, whether it is that they, you know, do arts, crafts, candle making, sewing. I don't know. Writing, some sort of creative hobby that they have, filmmaking. I don't know. I don't know what it is, but there's this, it's a strong creative element. I want to say that. This person is open to meeting new people, but they have a smaller group of friends. And like I said, they're the type of person who will start a conversation with a stranger, but like I said, they don't keep a lot of people close to them. Their family dynamics, you know, I don't think they have a strong, they can be like, their family, what's the best way to say this? They have a more sort of like emotionally distant family dynamics. It's not like there's a lot of animosity or tumultuous fighting in a way, but they have a very like let's live independently of each other type of lifestyle. So you may not see a lot of their family because they value independence rather than, you know, like personal closeness within their family. And then also, I get a feeling that they may have like, maybe like people from different cultural backgrounds in their family, or certain people who are like adopted, you know, things along the lines of something like that. Very, very humorous person. Like this person's very funny. Of the pals that I've gone through so far, you guys have like, because I do these out of order just in case you don't know. You guys have gotten like the funniest person that I've seen when it comes to this. This person has a very wild sense of humor, and it'll very much so catch you off guard, and you'll love it. In terms of like daily habits, daily lifestyles, there is some element of consistency, but they do often like to do their own thing, and they tend to be more independent, and they may focus a lot on their creative pursuits and what makes them happy and enjoyable and being like in their own sort of like little world here. Obviously, they'll want to take you along on the adventure, they're like a balance between introvert and extrovert. I guess if I had to say pick one, they'd be more introverted than extroverted. But as I said, there's somebody who will start up conversations with strangers. So maybe they're like, oh, I'm an introverted person, but I know how to turn on those extroverted skills because I know it could be beneficial towards me. Or sometimes I just want to talk to people, right? But definitely a little bit more introverted in that way. I'm trying to think if there was a question that I forgot that I'm thinking. You know, I'll be honest, if you're somebody who is like a stickler for like a certain like way that you eat or anything like that, that's not necessarily this person. When it comes to like following a strict regime or like exercising or eating habits, it's very flexible for them, and they just go through different periods where they may test out different diets, different exercises, etc. They're very experimental when it comes to that area of life. And I usually get the moon for meaning like fluctuating weight, fluctuating body. I mean, we all go through it, but some people have bigger fluctuations than others along the lines of that. So just definitely fluctuating when it comes to those habits. If you care about that, or if you don't care about that, maybe you yourself is just like, you know, sometimes I hit the gym 5 days straight, and then I don't go for 2 weeks, or then maybe I'm into it for a month. I think that's it. And I will see you next time, pal number 2, and au revoir. Hey, pal number 3, it's time for me to tell you about your spouse. We have the 10 of Pentacles, the 9 of Pentacles, the 10 of Pentacles again, the Hanged Man, the 4 of Wands, and Earth element stability. That's so funny. Like, I love how we have all these pentacles and then Earth element stability, and the pentacles are Earth element. And don't you love when you get like repeating cards from different decks in the same reading? That just goes to show that tarot's like letting you know this is a clear message. All right, so what we have here when it comes to your spouse, because we have all these 10 and 9 of Pentacles, this person is likely, and I mean highly likely, that this person is very, very successful and very stable. It is likely this is the type of person who owns their own home, maybe even has their own business, because sometimes 10 of Pentacles can represent like a business or legacy or something that you leave behind. And it can also represent somebody who is family oriented. So if you're looking to be with somebody who's family oriented, then this would be the card of that. In particular, there's someone who respects traditions, and someone who generally has, I don't know if it's like a close-knit relationship with their family, but they're definitely supportive in certain ways, especially if it comes to financial means in the longs, in terms of that. Sorry, I'm getting a little tongue-tied. Obviously, we've already mentioned, like, likely this person has a lot of wealth and prosperity. Getting the 10 of Pentacles twice, and then the 9 of Pentacles, which is like right in front of the 10 of, comes right before the 10 of Pentacles, lets me know that this person is very independent. They have a strong sense of financial security, and it's likely that this person probably also comes from a background in which they have a long line of financial security, whether that's generational wealth, whether that's their parents are well off, grandparents are well off, whatever the case may be. You're probably going to be marrying into a family that has quite a bit of coin, okay? Another thing here is when we have the 9 of Pentacles, this is definitely a person who just enjoys, you know, as they say, the fruits of their labor. This is not a person who is stingy or cheap by any means. You know, we might get that with like the 4 of Pentacles, where somebody's like afraid to lose money. This person is like, nope, I don't really care. Like, we have plenty of money to go around to sustain us for quite a long time. And definitely someone who likes to relax, enjoy themselves. Whenever I get the 9 of Pentacles, I get, like, if it's were to represent sort of a day, it's kind of like a day where I'm just, you know, enjoying everything that I've worked hard for, essentially. Like, I'm eating good food. I might go out to a restaurant. I might, you know, go ahead and take a walk somewhere. You know, I might take a drive to some place, watch a movie, whatever. Just enjoying the money and efforts that you put in life. So this person definitely likes to sit back and enjoy, and etc. You know, I mean, I think it's pretty clear, you know, what I'm trying to say here. They like to enjoy what they worked hard for. Another thing that we have here when we have this earth element stability is that this person is pretty much a very practical person. Someone who likes to think strategically about how to grow their wealth, or even just how they move in general in life. It's more so like this person is a planner. So let's say if you were going on vacation somewhere, this person might make a list of activities. They might have, you know, folders of where certain locations are, or mapped out, like a, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, they may have like a list, you know, on like Google Maps, you can create like a list of places you want to go. They may have like a list of places in order on like a vacation trip. Like, they're very organized in that way. And also when we get a lot of pinnacles, we get a lot of like cleanliness. Earth signs tend to like to have like organized, clean environments, usually if they're in like in a healthy place. And it looks like this person's in like a mentally healthy place, especially with this Four of Wands here. Very happy person. So you're going to expect somebody who's very cleanly and very organized in their just their manner. And then Pentacles generally represent people who are down to earth, as well as earth element kind of represents the same thing. Meaning they're not full of themselves. They don't have their head in their butt. Like, they're just someone you could like easily talk to. They don't act like they're, you know, below or above anyone. Very approachable type of person in that manner. And then also they're always looking for like the next stage, the next place that they want to go to. This person's very goal oriented. So keep that in mind when you're with this person. They're not very stagnant. They're not saying, okay, well, I've bought one house and that's it. They may be like, well, I want a second house. I want a vacation home. I want this. Like, okay, I've been to 7 countries. Now I want to go to 10. I've been to 10 countries. Now I want to go to 20. So they're always kind of looking to build upon their goals and go to the next stage. Very much so an ambitious person. Very dedicated, very hardworking. Like, generally, earth signs kind of represent consistency and loyalty. So you're going to get a partner who is likely very loyal. When we have the Hanged Man, and honestly, I think I've already talked about how they think long-term, and the cards are kind of reiterating this. The Ten of Pentacles represents like long-term health, long-term stability. Health is a part of this, but I'm not going to get to that yet. Long-term stability. And the Hangman is somebody who's like being reflective, thinking on it, making sacrifices. So they make the sacrifices to maintain that long-term stability, as well as they're someone who is always reflecting on those things and how I can, you know, gain access to more of what it takes to build the life that I want to work. Definitely someone who will utilize all resources available. They're a sociable person with this Four of Wands here. And then obviously with Ten of Pentacles, it represents communities. So for sure, maybe a major part of their community, meaning there's somebody who may be involved in community events, maybe somebody who volunteers along with that, maybe more than likely somebody who gives back. The Hangman is connected to Pisces, which is connected to charities. So it is likely this person is like involved in charities or gives to charity in some case. It's also like the house of losses, meaning like, you know, where you give away your money. So that's what I'm getting that interpretation from, where they're giving their money away, and it doesn't matter, they have plenty of it, but they're giving it away to generally help people more than likely with this Pentacle energy here. When it comes to your relationship dynamic, you generally will have someone who is very supportive of you. someone who will also support your ambitions, someone who's likely want to work together, share responsibilities. They are someone who is, what's the word for it? Very respectful. You know, somebody who respects space, your time and space. Like if you need alone time, there's someone who's going to respect that, especially since with the Hangman here, more than likely they're a person who also needs their alone time. You know, the Hangman's like away from the world, away from everyone. It's just has his time to himself to reflect on things and to view things from different perspectives. And so you definitely get a person who just at some moments, they need their peace, especially with the Nine of Pentacles here, which represents being independent and doing your own thing. I definitely feel like this person, even if they're not the most romantic person, because we don't have a lot of cups here, just gonna say that. If they may not be the most romantic person, but they're definitely someone who will show up for you in your time of need. And if you ever need support, or if you need someone to talk to, and who if you need care, if you want someone to help you solve your problems, especially with the Hangman here, they're definitely always focused on how can I make sure that my partner and our relationship and, you know, myself, that we're all happy. Especially, you know, when we have this Four of Wands following the Hangman. It's like they're reflecting on happiness. And they're reflecting on longevity. They're reflecting on community. They're reflecting on how can we keep the peace? How can we stay together? How can we make sure that things last and that they are long term? With the Hangman here, I often get the Hangman to represent travel as well, because it's connected to the sign of Pisces. And one way to view things from different perspectives is to meet a great deal of people. And that's why the Hangman is connected to Pisces as well. So somebody who's well-traveled, it's likely that this person has a, I don't know, like a high position where their job will affect those around them. It's kind of like if you're like an owner of a company, right? It's like you have people who work under you who you have to look out for. And I feel like they're in a position like that. They're not someone who would be like lower management, where if you might lose them, it may not affect the company too much, versus them if they work for like a company or something along the lines of that, if they have their own business. If they were to go elsewhere, it would definitely affect other people's lives, especially with the Hangman there. It's almost like there's this responsibility on their shoulder that they have to be aware of, because if they mess up in some sort of way, or if they get things wrong, it can have some major consequences, which the Hangman can represent. When it comes to like sort of daily routines and habits, this person's pretty like fun loving, casual going, someone who, I'm not gonna lie, they're a little bit of a homebody. I mean, if you get in the Ten of Pentacles twice and then the Four of Wands, like, yeah, they do like to enjoy themselves, but it's more so like they rather spend their time with friends and family, and they rather do it in, if it's not at home, then it will be someplace that feels like home. So don't you know how some people, they like may consistently go to one bar, or they have one hangout spot. It doesn't have to be a bar, but they may have one certain hangout spot, some club, some like a tennis club, or I'm just naming places, but there's a certain spot that they may hang out frequently. That's what I'm saying. This person is pretty consistent when it comes to their routine. So if you're someone who likes to be dynamic, likes to go different places, you're going to be the one to likely have to initiate that, because this person is very much into sticking to what they know, which can make them a little bit stubborn, you know, especially with all these pentacles. all that earth element, all that earth sign energy is so stubborn. So stubborn. So you're going to have to kind of like push them in a different direction if you want them to like go out and do things, but they're open to it. You know, with the Hangman here, that means they're open to different perspectives. They're open to trying new things. And the Four of Wands is obviously this person likes to have fun. They like to have a good time. They like to celebrate. They love being in the company of other people. So they have a good balance of being like introverted and extroverted. And then you also have somebody who's generally going to try to like in terms of conflict, they're not someone who is going to say, let me tackle this thing dead on. Like if you guys are in a moment of conflict and you're having issues, they're going to need a moment to step back and reflect. They're going to say, okay, you know, let's take some space, let's take some time, and then let's come back and resolve the issues. That's more so their conflict style. Definitely someone who's going to be very like healthy oriented, especially with the Hangman there. It is likely that maybe they have a family history of some sort of issues, medical issues. Because when we have the Ten of Pentacles representing like long-term longevity, generational, and the Hangman connected to Pisces, which is like hospitalization, sickness, and all that, there may likely be some sort of like, okay, my family has a history of high cholesterol. So because of that history, I have to watch my intake when it comes to this food, this food, this food, and this food. And so what you have is, in terms of your spouse, is they're going to have very like consistent eating habits and very consistent working out habits, exercise routine along the lines of that. Because of some reason like that, like if they have a history of family has a history of high blood pressure, we're like, okay, well, I can't eat a bunch of sweets, etc., because this is what made my granddad sick or my grandma sick, or etc., and things like that. So this person is very particular about what they eat, their routine, and more than likely, because we have so more pentacles, it's more going to be so like weight training, strength training. Pentacles represent more so muscle than cardio. So more than likely, if they're into some sort of exercise, it's going to have to be some sort of weight, strength training, things like that, as I just mentioned. Obviously, they have a very like nice home. Like I said, I think they may own more than one home, or at least at some point in your marriage, they will. Or by the time you get married, you guys will buy a home together. But I do think independently of you, this person will have already have their own place, condo, home, whatever, apartment, etc. by the time you come in contact with them, because the Ten of Pentacles and the Nine of Pentacles is like, I have my own independent place. Like this represents a home. This represents being independent. So it's a good probability that they're already a home owner. And it's even possible that they may lease to other people, because we have the Four of Wands here. And it's almost like they've created their own community in a sense. So that's a possibility for some of you. When it comes to how they communicate their thoughts, their feelings, and everything, this person really likes to take their time before they express themselves and speak. So as you're getting to know them, don't expect them to be, you know, super blunt and direct and honest all the time. Like, I'm not going to say they're going to lie or anything like that, for sure. I don't see that. But don't expect them to just be so direct, like, you know, a fire sign or something like that. The main theme is Earth. And so it's really more so about a slow build, getting to know them before they slowly kind of show you more and more of their personality. And when it comes to responses, like I said, there's a lot of let me pause and think before I say something. So you may not get like this burst of like energetic expression all the time. Not saying never, because we do have the Four of Wands here. But for the most part, it's going to be a little bit more calm and collected in terms of how they like to communicate. Definitely 100% very encouraging and a good listener. And very supportive. And they have a very good relationship with their family. They may even spend a lot of time with their family as well. So when it comes to holidays and stuff, I guess you guys are going to have to flip a coin on who you're going to spend time with, because this person really would rather prefer to spend time with their family. I'm trying to think if there's something that I have missed here. They may own some pets, because both of these things have, like, you know, dogs on them. So it's quite possible that that's a case for them. Trying to think of anything else. Always working. Or, well, maybe not always. Works a lot. Works a lot, but they do take vacations. Hangman and the Four of Cups. Fours tend to represent a time to, like, step back away from all the buzz and whatever's going on. Same with the Hangman. So they do take a good amount of vacations, but they may be working on vacation. I'm not going to lie. That's for some of you, not for all of you. But there's going to be plenty of time to enjoy. This person has a good sense of humor. It may be a little dry, but they do have their own sense of humor. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. If you're looking to build a family with someone like this is someone who's really going to want to plan every step. So they're going to be really involved in that process. If you're like, I want to take, you know, pregnancy classes, they probably want to be there with you. If you're someone who is trying to, like, let's say the kid is like 2 months old or something. This person's probably already planning what preschool they want to go to, what middle school they think would be best. You know, probably more than likely already saving for college as soon as this kid is like, pops out the wound or something like that. You know, it doesn't matter if it's male or female. This person's more than likely already going to start saving for that. More than likely going to say, okay, let me set up a trust fund for this kid. Let me make sure that they have these bonds available for when they turn 30. Very much so, like, planning years and years ahead. Has a very much like, I have a plan, this is the type of person that would have a 5-year plan for their life. If you ask them, hey, where do you think you're going to be in 5 years? They can give you probably the step-by-step when it comes to this. Generally, I think you'll really love this relationship because this person is so consistent with you. They always show up for you when you need them. They're always there to listen. They have a sound mind, stable mind, good head on their shoulder, a positive attitude for the most part. Always willing, they can, like, easily make fun of themselves. And there's someone, when you meet them, you're going to feel like very safe and secure with this person. If we're talking about appearance, the cards, well, with the Hangman, I usually get for appearance to mean someone who is a little bit more laid back in how they present themselves. You know how, like, you have those billionaires who have like a plain white t-shirt, but it's like $500, $1,000. That's what the vibe is like for this person. It's like, oh, I'm casual, but I'm expensive. 10 of Pentacles can represent, like, I've gotten it for tall. I'm not really sure why, but I have gotten it for tall. So male or female, this person may be taller than average. And generally, they're going to like nice things. And this is the type of person whose love language would more than likely be like acts of service, gifts, and obviously our quality time. But I think it's more so acts of service because of the Hangman here. And quality time might be the top 2 for this person with all of this, like, community type energy. But that's what I have for you. I think I've covered everything that I can possibly think of at the moment. Very good relationship with friends. They probably have a lot of friends. So want to throw that out there. They probably have a strong amount of friends there, and they're very well known. So be on the lookout for that. And they're kind of known to being like a very giving person. Just like that's their reputation. They're like, okay, this person is like super generous. People see them as this person. But yeah, that is what I have for you, pal number 3. Feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you next time. You have such a lovely, great spouse. And I think this is going to be like a fantastic, happy relationship. These cards are so peaceful and calm and secure. And if you're looking for someone who will always be there and support you and show up for you and make the sacrifices to ensure that your relationship is healthy and works, this is someone who's willing to put in the time and work and effort. Like, definitely 100%. And I will see you next time. Au revoir. Hey, pal. Number 4, let's get started on your reading about your spouse. We have the Tower. We have the 2 of Pentacles. We have the Page of Cups. We have Justice. The 4 of Coins. And part of Fortune. Alright, so right off the bat, it looks like this person is very much so very honest, maybe even shockingly honest, in ways that may not be expected. They definitely make a large first impression. It's interesting because sometimes with the Tower, we get like super tall people or like somebody who literally towers over you. We've gotten like tall for a few other spreads, but this is like major. This would be like, you know, NBA player like tall or something like Shaq or whatever, if they are tall. If it's saying something about the appearance in that way. And then usually with Justice, when it comes to personality, it's somebody who's very communicative. I usually get that. Someone who is willing to have conversations with you, and they're not one to just, like, if you get into a conflict, certain people need to like take time to step away. This is the person who's more likely, let's just hash it out here and there, like here and now, okay? It's also possible, I didn't say this about any other spreads, that you meet in an unexpected way. I didn't go into the meeting part, but because it's coming up so strongly, it just seems like the way you meet will just be very like, this is so sudden. This seems like to be coming out of left field. You know, expect the unexpected type of vibe. And the connection will be generally very powerful with the Tower here. And it's likely that this person will have a significant influence when it comes to, I guess, even changing potentially your lifestyle with the 2 of Pentacles here. Because the 2 of Pentacles is about juggling things and can also deal with switching between things or having like a toss-up between things. And together it can represent like a transformation from one thing to the other, the Tower and the 2 of Pentacles. So when this person comes into your life, your lifestyle more than likely will change in a significant manner. And that's going to be different from everyone because the cards aren't being very specific. But just expect that. Like, you're going to have to, like, there's like a lot of personal growth when you meet your spouse and your relationship together. Obviously, when it comes to finances, this person keeps a very tight budget. They're not someone who is known to be like a big spender in any way. The Four of Pentacles very much so likes to stick to their routine and doesn't like to branch out and doesn't like to make these major wild expenditures at all. It's just a card about making sure that everything is set up so that if a tragic event were to happen, that you guys would be able to withstand that rainy day. So they're all about the rainy day funds. And it kind of makes sense when we have this tower here. Maybe they've been in situations like that before. Maybe they've been in a situation where, you know, they've gone through like a hurricane and they lost their home, or a fire, or, you know, they had to deal with an accident and then the medical bills were high, or something along the lines of that. Some sort of situation where they had to have an emergency fund. And because of that situation, now they're someone who is likely to plan and save for a rainy day. We do have someone who is taking the time to manage multiple responsibilities and have multiple aspects of their life that are very active. So this person could have 2 jobs. This person could just have a very active private life or life outside of work. They may just be someone involved in their community. They're likely to be someone who, I'm trying to think of, like, people have so many different outside opportunity, different responsibilities. For example, you could go to work and then also do some other job on the side. You could be someone who goes to work, then also they are the leader of their book club and it's their job to like organize things, or maybe they're the leader of their financial group club, or maybe they are, you know, active in their church choir or something like that, but they have a lot of responsibilities that they're juggling in their life. And those responsibilities allow them to be someone who is well socially versed, generally very open to meeting new people and experiences, because their responsibilities involve interacting with various groups of people, possibly people from different backgrounds, cultures. Sometimes I get the Two of Pentacles to represent distance, which can be another thing for you guys. Like, I have a feeling with this pile specifically, there's a strong likelihood that you guys are either from like a different religion, different culture, different race. Something's like different. Maybe you're like very far apart in terms of like, I don't know, you could be from Brazil and they could be from India. But whatever the case may be, it's like you guys have different backgrounds. Specifically this pile, for sure. I got that feeling for you guys. Something along the lines of that, or a different belief system, or how you were raised. There's something different. Like, it could even be something like this person's vegetarian, you're a meat eater. This person's pescatarian, you're vegan. Something's like different about your lifestyles, or, as I said, your backgrounds. They definitely have this very like open approach to individuals. They might be like, they may be strict when it comes to how they manage their routine, their finances, and etc. But this doesn't mean that they're someone who's not open to new people and new experiences. In fact, I think this person is highly sociable, especially since we have Justice here, and Justice is connected to Libra, the house of relationships, marketplace, other people. And it's right next to the Page of Cups. So this person is very much so someone who approaches people with an open mind. There's almost like a naivete when it comes to the Page of Cups, because they're so new to the world. You know how kids just kind of like will just randomly talk to strangers? and you have to have that message to children. Don't talk to strangers. Don't take things from strangers, because kids don't normally assume that strangers are like bad people who might do things that will hurt them, right? So this person has almost like this very like positive mindset when it comes to like, they feel like most people are good, most interactions are going to be positive. And so when they approach people, that's not to say they are completely unguarded, but for the most part, they're going to assume that, yeah, this is going to be a good experience and I'm going to have a positive interaction. And thus it makes them very friendly and approachable. They are very expressive, romantic, idealistic. This is someone who definitely keeps their heart wide open. This is not like a jaded individual by any means. I feel like you guys are going to have a very like deep connection. And one thing that I love about your spouse here is they have a strong sense of morals and principles. And we have two cards remaining like balanced, like about being balanced when it comes to how they approach you, how they approach the relationship. They want to be able to understand your perspective as well, give their own. This is not like a self-centered person at all. They're working towards harmony and ensuring that there's fairness within your relationship, that not one person's not carrying all the weight or something along the lines of that. So definitely somebody who has a strong sense of integrity and right and wrong and fairness. And they can be very rigid about that as well with this Four of Pentacles here. They're making sure, and also Four of Pentacles also relates to balance as well. A lot of, all fours do in a way. They're making sure that everything is on the up, and that both of you are equally contributing to the relationship. So it's not just like, oh, one person carries the emotional load and one person carries the financial load and one person carries all these duties and responsibilities. No, it's like a blend for both of you. I love that they're open, they're creative, expressive. Very much like, they may be like a peculiar how they like to keep their things. This is the type of person who will like to have everything in order in their home. This is not a messy person at all. They're like, I like my, like, let's say they have a closet. They're going to say something along the lines of, you know, I want all the whites on this side, all the reds on this side, all the greens right here. Like, they have a system to how they do things in their home and how they like things set up. So it's like highly organized and very much neat. They may not like things when they're crooked. It's just very like balanced and neat. It might be a little too rigid and whatever and too strict when it comes to that, but they like things how they like things. I'm going to be honest about that. But I love this relationship because there's such a focus on considering each other's needs, making sure that both of your needs are met. And they're very much so, I guess, passionate about that in a way, to ensure that, okay, let's make sure that you're not always doing the dishes every single week. Let's make sure that, you know, we're both getting like a break when we need a break. Something along the lines of that. Now, part of fortune is an interesting one because I used to think that it was sort of more related to like finances, but in my experience, part of fortune is more so having to do with luck. And I think what the cards are trying to say here is that this person feels a strong appreciation for life and the life that they have. There's someone who likes, they're just someone who appreciates the life they have. They have a lot of gratitude towards their life, if I can make that clear. They feel lucky to be alive, to be out in the world, to be able to have the life that they have. Very much so, just a happy person to feel like they have you in your relationship. They're like, wow, I feel so fortunate that I have you as my, you know, wife or husband. That's how this person feels. So they just feel generally blessed to be in a relationship and to be with you. They feel that is like the ultimate prosperity for them in their life when it comes to fulfillment, joy, and success. Yeah, that's what I get. Because we have like Libra here, and it's like saying part of fortune in Libra. So it's like their fortune, their happiness, their fulfillment comes through their relationships. And it's going to come through their relationship with you. That's just generally how they feel. I'm trying to think if there's any questions I forgot. Yes, their dynamic with their family. Honestly, I think they may have like had a lot of conflicts with their family, because when we come from the Tower and the Two of Pentacles, it can be sort of like they keep their distance because things could maybe have gotten explosive, or there have been some conflicts in the past. Especially with this Justice card here, it can feel like people are not willing to change and they're kind of set in their ways. And this person has decided to just keep a level head, think clearly, and say, okay, I'm going to have to either cut them out of my life or maneuver in a way where I'm not giving in to, you know, maybe their sort of antagonistic nature or something along the lines of that. It may not be even something that dark. It could be something along the lines of just their family may just be generally split apart. Like sometimes people have to go to different countries, different cities to seek new opportunities. And so that may be the case where their family's kind of spread out and all over. And so they will have to like talk to them, you know, over the phone, FaceTime, things like that. Yeah, something along one of those two examples, but either way, it does indicate some distance within the family, either emotionally or physically. And then, like I said, the Tower can be like a lot of conflict, or it could just generally just be very like a tumultuous experience, causing people to like, you know, split apart and be separated. It's along the lines of that. Their communication style, honestly, they're very honest. They're great with their words. This person is an excellent communicator. They're not harsh with their tone. So even if they're a direct person, they're going to be someone who is going to word what they have to say in a softer, more gentle way. It's the type of person who's going to use I statements, like I would appreciate if we could spend more time together, or I don't really like being spoken to in that way, or I feel better when we get to do this, or when so-and-so happens. Like they use a lot of I statements instead of like, you know, playing the blame game. So very reflective and thoughtful when it comes to how they communicate with you in particular. And they're like this with everyone. So that's a good thing that they're consistent in that manner. They're able to accurately express their thoughts and feelings without a lot of confusion. When it comes to their daily routine, that does fluctuate for some days. Okay. It's kind of like, it's weird. It's fluctuation, but it doesn't. And I'll give you an example. When I was in college, I had one teacher who would commute between, you know, where I live and New York. And so it's like, okay, some days they'd be teaching, you know, in the DMV area. Other days they would be teaching in New York. So it's like that fluctuating routine. However, it's consistent every week. The same, they're teaching the same days. You know, let's say it was like, I don't remember the days, Monday through Wednesday, DMV, and then Thursday through Friday, New York. So it's a fluctuating routine, but it's consistent. So something like that is going on with your spouse. Maybe it's something like, oh, they work remotely 3 days a week. They come in 2 days a week, or something along the lines of that. Or they work this job Monday through Friday, then they work this other job, you know, Saturday, Sunday, you know. I don't know, but it's like a fluctuating routine depending on the day, but it is consistent, you know, week by week. So that's what I mean by it's changeable, but it's like different. And when it comes to interest and things that they do for hobbies and fun, they're open. This person is very open-minded, and something tells me that they're not like, oh, I have to consistently do this thing all the time. You know, it's going to be like, sometimes I like to watch movies, sometimes I like to watch books, and they kind of rotate between these kind of like, you know, 4, 5, 6 things that they do. So they're similar in the way with their hobbies as well. You know, maybe they're like, sometimes I like to take photographs, sometimes I like to people watch, and they'll rotate and do those things. But it's, when it comes to hobbies, I think they're more so focused on their relationships with people. And I'll be honest, they're not like, oh, I love working, I love having a job, I love doing this. For them, life gets the most fulfillment through their relationships, through their partnerships. They are a responsible person, obviously, and they can take care of themselves, but what they value is true connection. If I think I've now at this point, I think I've covered everything. I'm gonna just give it one glance over, so to make sure I've answered anything that I can possibly think of. I was trying to think of the other cards and what I might have like answered questions when it comes to. There's a lot of compromising, like your relationship dynamic. There's a lot of compromising when it comes to your relationship. We didn't necessarily have that with the other piles. I think you would both prefer to do things your own way, but I think you'll both have such a strong love and admiration for each other that you're willing to see each other's perspectives and try what the other person wants to do. So if you have a partner who, like, maybe you're the homebody and they like to go out, or they like to go out and you're the homebody, you guys are going to be able to like compromise and say, okay, maybe this week we stay in and watch a movie, and then maybe next week we go to the fair grounds and have something fun, or we go out to some restaurant or something along the lines of that. So there's a lot of compromising when it comes to your relationships. Or if you're like, oh, I want, I don't know, Chinese food tonight, and they're like, oh, I want pizza. And, you know, maybe you guys have to toss a coin. But what I love about this is that you're both willing to put in that effort to compromise. And don't get me wrong, there are going to be times when you both want to put your foot down and say, oh, can't we just do things my way? But you guys will be able to talk it out and keep the communication open, which is amazing for your relationship. You have so many good things going for you. And this person's very smart too. I just want to throw that in there. They're like, it's like part of fortune and like justice is like blessed with discernment and intellect. So I just want to throw that out there. But you both hear and respect each other's opinions. And like I said, you both have your stubborn moments. But for the most part, this is like a very amazing person. I think that you guys will have a very like, you know, conflict resolution oriented relationship. Like, we can solve this together in a healthy way. Like, yes, okay, we see things different ways, but we can compromise and we can learn to understand each other. That's like the vibe of this. And then also the Tower represents like an instant attraction. So want to throw that out there. All right, I think that's all I have for you, pile number 4. I believe we're on. Yes, pile number 4, and I will see you next time. Au revoir. Hey, pile number 5. Let's get started on your reading about your spouse. We have Death. We have the 4 of Swords. We have the Sun. We have the King of Pentacles. We have 7 of Wands and Virgo, I analyze. Wow. All right. Is this close enough? I feel like I'm always pulling it further away from you guys. Let me make sure you can see. So, Death, 4 Swords, man. All right, this person has been through a lot. And they are tired, okay? They have been through so many instances and wild events in their life. They just want peace. They just want peace, relaxation, happiness. They are done with all the madness. This person is like, I need to fight for my peace. 7 of Wands energy here, fighting for their peace, okay? And it's interesting because we have Virgo, which is connected to the 6th house, or rules the 6th house normally, which is the house of conflict. And then we also have the 7 of Wands energy, which is dealing with defending yourself or defending others, or ensuring that you stand up for your position and what it is that you feel right about. For example, like if you are, this is a simple matter, or maybe not simple. Let's say you're an employee, you're part-time, and you're negotiating the days that you can work and say, hey, I can only work Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And you have to like put your foot down and say, this is what I need. This is what I need. Okay. That's that type of like negotiation type energy. That's something small, but I have to give an example so you guys understand what I'm talking about. This person is willing to really push for the things that they feel is best suited for them. And they're used to it. They're used to it. So they're really good at having to deal with conflict and having to make their point and even like, you know, argue if they need to. I'm not saying that they'll be arguing with you, but this person definitely stands up for themselves, okay? There's no pushover energy here. And something tells me that their past definitely deals with them having to go through a lot of situations in which they may have had their boundaries crossed, may have had people try to take advantage of them, because generally this person is a very good-natured person, but because they've gone through so many circumstances where people may have walked all over them or, you know, not been the nicest to them, because I can get the Death card to represent instances that were, you know, maybe a little bit harmful, possibly traumatizing, psychologically damaging in a way. Very shocking and transformative for them. And obviously we know transitions can be rough, you know. Transitions are certainly rough. Most people are at some point resistant to change. And this person has been through a lot of those instances where they've had to deal with these, you know, out of the box circumstances or challenging circumstances, and there was probably no one there to defend them, and they had to learn to defend themselves the hard way, okay? So that's what it is. So when you first meet this person, don't be surprised if they're not like super bubbly, open, friendly or something. This is not to say that they'll be, you know, negative toward you. We have the 4 of Swords here, so they're more so like a laid back person, but it's kind of saying that they're not going to be friendly and open. They may just be like a little bit more quiet and reserved type energy, which I also get for Death, which makes sense because, you know, Death is pretty quiet. It's like, you ever been to a graveyard? It's silent. So this person's very reserved and to themselves, especially when you first meet them. Very analytical mind that we have here. very hard worker, especially with, you know, Virgo. I analyze Virgo is the house of work, and honestly, every Virgo I've met has been like always trying to hit some next goal, and they work so much. Like like if I'm literally thinking about every single Virgo I've like known that I've met, you know, who have known has been a Virgo. They're always like, okay, let me save up to do my dream car, get my dream car. I've got to start this business, you know, I'm going to sell, I don't know. I'm thinking of like, I'll sell nose rings on the side, and then my day job, I'm going to, you know, have a clothing store. And well, I guess if you have a clothing store, you could sell, you don't need to sell nose rings on the side, but you know what I mean? Like they may have a different day job. Oh, I sell curtains, and then on the side I sell nose rings, and then I'm also, you know, a poet and I sell poetry books. And like they're always like doing a bunch of different things when it comes to trying to make money so that they can advance themselves. And if it's not work that they're invested in, it'll definitely be their education, possibly even both. But there's always something going on having to do with career, bettering themselves, getting higher education, getting better jobs, creating more opportunities for themselves, trying to make sure that they have a stable life that they can potentially pass on to their children if they want children, or at least sustain themselves within your relationship. That's something that's very important to them. And obviously there's a sense of wanting to enjoy the finer things, the nicer things in life, wanting to invest in high quality things. Like, for example, oh my gosh, my mother's a Virgo, and I was trying to explain to her she needs to like put more organization into her room. I know, me trying to tell Virgo to be more organized, but it happens. Not all Virgos are going to be super organized all the time, but this person more likely will. But anyway, the point was, I said, you know, for your perfume, you could have like a spinning perfume rack like I have. And I showed her my spinning perfume rack, and she was like, well, I want something like a little higher quality than that, like a super Virgo answer, right? And I'm like, okay, then just buy like something high quality. So having something organized is really great, and Virgos will like that. Ultimately, that's like mentally beneficial for them. If a Virgo is disorganized, they're going through something. But having something that's high quality is also important to this energy. And the person you're with, your spouse, will like things that are high quality and things that will last, things that are nice, things are luxurious. They're not going to want to do something discount or, you know, casual, or what's the word I'm looking for? Economy. They don't want an economy stay. Okay? Let that be known. That's not interesting to them. They'll do it if it'll save money and it'll help them save for a certain goal. But ultimately, that's not what they want. That's not the energy that they want to bring into their lives. I think I may have said this for a different pile. I don't know. I think I may have gotten deaf before. It's been a minute. Okay, I've been doing this reading all day. But death can represent, in terms of how someone looks, like they wear a lot of darker colors. And I think I did a reading once, and this was a while ago, and it was for like a coming of love interest for myself personally, and I got death in the sun. And yes, this person wore a lot of black. They were skinny, like the death card. And with the sun card here, mentally, it was like this person was very bright, very smart, well educated, and definitely good looking. But it's kind of like, at least I thought so, but it's kind of brings like a person who generally they can have like very like sweet thoughts. And like they want to look out for other people. It sounded like I was going to say something bad. I don't know why I phrased it like that. They have very like sweet thoughts, and they don't like to wish like harmful things on other people. And it can create a mind that's generally, I'm not going to say they don't struggle with any anxieties or anything like that, but it's more so, I guess the word I can just say like a sweet, like almost childlike way. I'm not saying that they're like a child, but you know how children have like silly things that they say to each other when they're mad, like, oh, you know, I hope you slip on a banana. You know what I mean? Like, they may say something like silly like that. And it like, it's not like a harsh thing to say versus all of the wild things people can say to one another. This person would be like, you know, I hope your car gets stuck in traffic or something like that. Like, when they're mad, it's, I'm not going to say it's not explosive, because sun ruled anger can be explosive, but it's kind of like with this reading, they're not going to wish like the most, like, it's not going to get to the point where it can be kind of craziness. Not with these cards. Like, if we had other cards surrounded by the sun, I would say different. But with the Four of Swords and the King of Pentacles here, it's more of a, like a nicer way of thinking. Okay? I don't know how to phrase this. I'm not the best with words, but I can see it in my mind. I'm trying to like express that to you. But very optimistic and warm in their nature. And like I said, it's not like this person won't get mad, especially with the Seven of Wands and the sun here. Like, that energy can be explosive, but I don't see that for particularly your spouse. Like, otherwise, if the Seven of Wands was like right next to it, and then I would say something different. But most of the times, this person is like very joyous and positive, despite the circumstances that they have been through. It may even like surprise and shock you to see what they've gone through in their life. And they're going to have a very open and optimistic outlook when it comes to your relationship. And they're going to bring a sense of transparency with them on, you know, what they might expect or what they're looking for. I definitely see that you have a very supportive partner and like very nurturing. Especially if you are focused on anything practical. Like if you wanted to buy a home, or if you needed help fixing a tire, or what's another example? If you needed help like writing an essay to get into grad school, if you needed help, you know, managing your own finances, sharing chores, if you're like, you know, too busy with stress with some housework, they obviously would help you out. I'm talking about before you guys move in together. They may like just come over and help you out with that. You know, anything to do like, oh, you need me to drive you to a medical appointment, or you need to pick you up after an appointment. They're there for that. They're there to assist. They're there to help with workload. They're there if you're feeling overwhelmed. They're there to help you proofread if you ever need proofreading. They're there to offer advice, encouragement. It just generally really great. And also with this pal, what's different is I have a feeling that when you guys get together, it's going to like transform your career. And I only say that because we have so many cards relating to career. Like the Sun, the King of Pentacles, and then Virgo, all of those have to do with like work, career, and journey. And then Death, really like transformation. Something about your career something about your career trajectory will change when you come together with this person. I don't know if you're going to change jobs. I don't know if you're going to change career paths. I don't know if you're going to get a promotion. I don't think it's anything negative. I think it's like something positive's happening within that area. I don't know if they're going to, you know, help you start a business, but something to do with your career path is going to change. Or maybe they're just going to help motivate you. Like maybe you've already had plans for something. You put those plans aside and you're like, okay, I don't have time for this. I don't have time for this. You meet them and you're like, oh, wait, they've inspired me to actually fully go and, you know, start my umbrella business that I've wanted to do for so long. But something about you coming together with your spouse is going to change your career trajectory for the better. Maybe I should not use the word trajectory because I can't seem to say it. I feel like every day is going to be like a very exciting day. Like it's like you guys wake up and you're excited to see each other, and you're excited to take on the responsibilities and challenges that you may have, and you're always busy. Like you guys are known for being like a busy couple. You know, it's like you're always on the go. Like if you have kids, or if you are blending families or something along the lines of that, from the time you wake up in the morning, from the time that you go to sleep at night, it's just representing that you're running errands, you're, you know, dropping kids off at school, or, you know, you're going to work, you're picking up groceries, you're trying to maintain and manage the household. It's, you guys are constantly go, go, go. And I love that you guys will share the responsibilities. You know, that is definitely in this pile. Sharing the responsibilities, sharing the cooking, sharing the cleaning, sharing what needs the workload and the responsibilities of the house. It's really great. Is there anything that I am missing? Oh, obviously their relationship with their family. So their relationship with their family has gone through several changes over the years. I think they used to have a very like up and down relationship with their family, but now it's in a place where it's like calm and it's peaceful and things are, you know, relatively sane for everyone. They've had a moment to, you know, gather and collect themselves, but generally they have a very protective family. So coming into the family, I'm going to be honest, you may not get acceptance right away, but I think they are very more so like once you get acceptance, they're like, okay, we're going to protect you. We're going to have your back. We're going to fight for you. Like you're one of us now. Okay. But generally, the relationship with their family's at a good place at the moment. I don't think that's going to change anytime soon when you come together at any point. Very independent person that you have here. And when we have this like sun-ruled energy, this person definitely needs their space. I'm going to say that because of the sun-ruled energy is very much like, I like to do my own thing. I like to be by myself. I like to have my own time. And, you know, they're respectful of you and your space as well if you ever need that alone time. Especially when we have the Four of Swords, when it comes to like, I need to reflect, I need to get relaxed, I need to go into my own little corner. 100% they need to recharge after they have these like social interactions. You see that there aren't many water cup cards. We do have death, which is connected to Scorpio, so we do know that they have very intense, deep emotions. But for the most part, without the lack of cups here, we know that this person isn't going to probably be the most like openly sensitive and expressive person. They're more so like a quieter I guess I did say they were quiet. I think that was the first thing I said. I love how the cards repeat themselves like several ways. But yeah, I mean, sun-ruled energy is not that talkative generally, unless there's something else going on in their chart, right? But for most of you, this person's a little bit more reserved, laid back. I think I've already mentioned that before. The cards are just kind of repeating that message to me in different ways. I think when it comes to sort of like embracing the lack of cups, I think they're going to show intimacy more so in the things that they do rather than the things that they say, more than likely. So they may not, you know, be this like lovey-dovey person, but they're going to be a person who is going to be more so focused on like practical support and stability and like sharing activities. Like the emotional bonding part, I'm not saying that that's not important to them, because it is. but it doesn't always come that natural to them. I'm going to say that, but that doesn't mean that they don't care. And also, it may be difficult for them to express their emotional needs, but, you know, we'll pass that. Well, you know, when we get to that, we'll get to that. You know what I mean? I don't think it's going to be, as I was saying, I don't think it's going to be a major issue. It's just that you'll have to be proactive about pursuing activities that will help promote emotional intimacy, such as like date nights or like having some deep conversations, you know, talking about, you know, your personal stories, your past and things like that. You just have to be a little bit more proactive about it. And don't expect this person to be the type of person to read your mind and like pick up on, you know, subtle cues. That's not this person. With the lack of cups, it means the lack of intuition. So you're going to have to like spell things out to them if you really want them to pick up on something. Don't drop hints with this person. Just be straightforward, okay? But this person is very well-meaning, okay? Very well-meaning, positive person. I see that in this relationship, you will both encourage each other to prioritize like self-care in a way. And with the Seven of Wands here, sometimes I get that, you know, knock on wood, I hope this isn't true. I get that's sometimes for jealousy, like outsiders trying to like intervene within your relationship because of they just feel jealous. Like they're thinking you guys are happy, you look so peaceful, look like everything's great and wonderful, and they can kind of insert their opinions. Or even this could be, you know, someone being flirtatious, some outside party being flirtatious with you or your spouse and just kind of getting in the way. Sometimes it means things like that. And then other times it could be like friends or family meaning well, but then they give their unsolicited opinion on your relationship and you're just like, I don't need to hear that, or I disagree or something like that. So you're going to have to defend your relationship and set boundaries, especially with the Four of Swords here saying, okay, let's step back from you guys. I don't think we need your advice when it comes to this, this, and this. Your relationship will be very intellectually stimulating for you both. And there's like a great, a strong connection physically. I'll say that. I don't want to be like demonetized by YouTube. I definitely get that, as I mentioned before, you guys will be independent, supporting of each other's like projects and goals and things like that. Generally, when it comes to their routine, because I've been doing everybody's routine, you know, this is a person who's probably going to be like a daily napper. They like to take breaks throughout the day. They like to have their little moments to themselves. They might like work, come home and need their little moment to themselves, and then like hang out, or just every now and then they just need time to themselves. That's like the most important thing here. They're pretty consistent for the most part with their routine, unless it's something wild going on or some transformative, unexpected happenstance. And it looks like those moments can happen frequently with this person, especially with Death card here. Death is obviously an element of unpredictability. And if we're having that to represent your spouse, and this person encounters quite a few moments that will feel shocking. And I'm not going to say it's like every day because that makes no sense. But they're going to encounter quite a few moments throughout your relationships that are just like, whoa, you're always ending up in some wild circumstance, okay? So even if they have a plan for how they want to live their day and live their life, somebody comes along and then all of a sudden, like, they hit the back of your spouse's car and they're like, you never guess what happened today. Somebody hit my car, da da da, right? And there's gonna be quite a few instances like that. I don't know if that's their karma, or if that's just their energy, or whatever is going on in their chart, but they're gonna attract some really out of the box circumstances, and it's gonna happen more frequently than it should. Trying to think if there's anything else. The battery's exhausted, so let me wrap this up. So this person is more than likely going to want to spend a lot of more times at home. Their daily activity has to do with them maybe being into like mindfulness, meditation. If they're actively pursuing new experiences, it will be frequently, with the Death card here, being transformation. Though I do think it's more so of experiences pursuing them type of energy going on here. This person is more so like, let's have a movie night, let's have a game night. And it's very possible that they're very into gardening or growing something along the lines of that. And your home, the place where you live, will be very secure. Good alarm system, possibly even, you know, keeping some sort of things at home to keep you safe. I can't get into the words to describe things because of YouTube and all its policies and things like that. But definitely a very, very secure home. A lot of people seem to want what you have. So be on the lookout with that in your relationship. And I'm going to end it there, pile number 5. You have a very hard-working spouse, somebody who likes to take care of their health, and they're going to be somebody who tends to naturally have a more so balanced diet, if anything. I'll just say that. And then Sun can be kind of a lean body type, but they don't always have to be. If they're women, they can usually just have like a very beautiful, beautiful face, but usually Sun-ruled women, if you see my video on Sun-ruled women, if they're younger, they're not that curvy. Like they're more so, like I said, with the Death card, kind of like skinny. But very beautiful, beautiful, beautiful person is what I have for you. And I will leave it there. Au revoir.